Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I am Lauren Martinez. Richard Santana could not make it, but in his place is Mr. Chocolate, who is sitting. We are 6 feet apart here. Um, as you mentioned before, this virtual conference is about resilience, and Mr. Chocolate will share his story and his upbringing and his path that led him to gang life in Fresno in California. But before we get to Mr. Chocolate, I do want to briefly introduce myself and why I'm here. I am a reporter for ABC 7 News. It's the ABC station owned here in the Bay Area. And I'm a general assignment reporter, so I cover just a wide range of things from wildfires to simple water main breaks. On July 4th, I covered a tragic death of a 6-year-old innocent boy that died in crossfire. On Thanksgiving, I'll probably do something, I don't know, turkey drive related. So I cover a lot of things. Some of you might be aware there's a lot of fires going on in Northern California. So I was on one in Sonoma County last night. So I'm really tired. So if you see me drinking coffee a lot, just because I really need it. But I'm happy to be here. And I will be your moderator. So that's why I'm here. Typically, Mr. Chocolate will do a presentation with a live audience where there's engagement and lots of questions. And so, because this is all done virtually, this is all new. So please, I implore you to ask questions, participate, and engage as much as you can. I think the more you allow to ask yourself some of these questions and really participate, the more you'll get out of this session. So please don't be afraid. It's anonymous. Just ask your question. I have it right here on my phone. And I think the more that you engage, the more you'll get out of this session. So thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. And Mr. Chocolate, please share us your story.
Thank you, Lauren. They call me Mr. Chocolate. And I was asked to come here to share my presentation, to tell you my story. And, in this time when people are having to talk through computers and, are fearful of catching the COVID. And, in this time, the crisis, the situation is not easy, because at the same time, we still have to address some of the tragedies that are going on in our communities, the tragedies of violence and hate and, drugs and animosity and racism, you know. And it's important that I say that because, I'm going to share some details about my life. But that means I got to remember, some of the pain, some of the madness, some of the hate, some of the violence, some of the tragedy. And it's kind of ironic because the people out there at this conference are directly serving the community. And in many cases, they're also asked to tell their clients to remember. And I don't know if they always understand that sometimes that triggers a lot of feelings. And so it makes me nervous, because, I'm going to tell you my story, and it's not a good one to tell, you know. But at the same time, I believe I got to share my message because right now, as I sit here and talk, through the internet and through the Zoom, there's someone like me dying out there in the streets right now, Someone like me getting caught up into the violence or being treated with bigotry and hate, being shot down for no reason at all. Someone like me is going through some kind of messed up situation. And it's because of that I got to share my message. So maybe someone like your participants will learn how they can make a difference in a life, how they can change someone in their life. And that's all I've ever wanted. You see, for me, coming up, I was only ever hoping that someone would be down for me, Someone would be like, supportive and encouraging, and someone will be, got my back, That's all I ever wanted. Oh, and it's not like I've had a good life. You see, I ain't got no parents. My mama, she died when I was 3 months old. I was on the bed next to her when they found her. And my dad, well, he walked out before I was born. The original deadbeat dad, you know what I'm saying? And so for me, my life has always been a product of the system. My parents, the juvenile justice system, and the welfare system, and I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated how the people from the welfare that would come into my life, they would move me from group home to foster home to group home, and they would tell me stuff like, this is gonna be good for you. But they never asked me what I wanted or what I was going through. They made me feel like I was a piece of paper, a file, a number. Like I didn't have no life, And then growing up poor, never having any money, having to go down to the segundas or to the ramates to buy my clothes. And I'm going to tell you, man, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I'll go down. I'll buy my clothes. I'll be okay. Sometimes, the kids around me, kids who got money, they would make fun of me, put me down, disrespect me, make me feel like I ain't nobody, like I ain't nothing, because I can't sport some of the things they be sporting, or I can't do some of the things they be doing. Like they're better than me, because they got money. And they went to school. I don't know about anybody else, okay? But I do know this. For me, going to school is like a good thing. Going to school is a good thing. You see, I want to ask you a question, Miss Martinez, or Lauren, or what do you want me to call you? What's your name?
Lauren's fine.
All right. Julie. And I want you to ask your participants, I guess, right? Or I don't know how it works, but can anybody tell me what the number one killer of the barrio is? Or the ghetto if you don't speak Spanish? Can anybody tell me?
So for all of you out there, please just shoot out any kind of answers you think. I personally am just going to guess here. I'm thinking violence.
Okay.
That's the number one killer.
Okay.
But we can let the participants, we'll wait a few more seconds for some people to answer.
Or maybe not.
Okay, so someone has said drug overdose.
Okay, that's a good answer.
So we have violence and drug overdose. Those are the two answers. Someone said abandonment.
That's a good answer.
Okay, let me check chat real quick. Okay. We have a lot here. Bullying.
Good.
Broken family system.
Okay.
Neglect.
All right.
Someone said poverty.
Poverty. Okay.
Someone said gun, so I'm assuming like
Okay, guns.
Gun violence. Abuse.
Abuse. Okay, that's good. Tell everybody I said thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Those are all good answers. Okay? They're all good answers. But the number one killer of the barrio, or the ghettos, is stress. Stress. Stress because of the guns. Stress because of the poverty. Stress because of the violence. Stress because of the hunger. Stress because of all that madness that comes at us every day. Stress, man. Now, the system is designed to put the child as closely as possible to their family because they don't want to do that separation stuff. And so when I was going through my situation as a youngster, they placed me in a house of heroin addicts. My uncle, who was the man of my life, he was raising me to become a young gladiator. For those of you who don't know what a gladiator is, it's a term for a prison warrior. And so every day something was maddening. I mean, he would hurt us, he would abuse us, he would do things to us, man. And I lived in fear and I lived in stress. Every day, man, stress. So for me, going to school was a way to get away from that madness. Going to school was a way for me to take a time out, to relax. I mean, why not go to school, right? All the girls are there. All my homeboys are there. Friends, we can network, chop it up. I can always find something to eat. I can always find some food. Now, it's important for me to say that clearly, especially to the educators that are out there. Because I know sometimes teachers, they see a child come in and the child is tired and worn out and they wonder, what are they doing here? Well, sometimes that's the safest place to be. That's how it was for me. But do you want to know what happened to me as soon as I walk into the school? I mean, I'm a youngster, man, in my teens, man, trying to get away from the madness. I walk into the school, teacher be coming up to me talking about, take off them glasses. Take off that trench coat. You are inappropriate. I am inappropriate. Can you imagine that? Being challenged by the teacher in front of all of my friends. I am inappropriate. People, do you know I spend time getting ready before I hit the streets, before I go anywhere? I get up so I can shine my shoes. I get up so I can iron my pants. I get up because I gotta look as good as I possibly can. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what you do. So I gotta do this, right? And so when I'm walking in and I get disrespected like that in front of all of my peers, what you think I'm gonna say? How you think I'm gonna act? What you think I'm gonna do? You guys can read between the lines, right? And then you know what happened? I got kicked out the class. I got sent to the principal's office talking about, I got an attitude problem. I got an attitude problem. And the truth of it, all I wanted was to get away from my home, man. To go to a place that I believe was safe. That's all I wanted, right? So there I go, man, walking down the corridor, walking to the office, and the principal sitting behind the desk, right? And I get asked that question. What seems to be the problem, son? And I think to myself, all right. They asked the question, right? Teacher doesn't like me. Teacher doesn't like the way I look. Teacher doesn't like the way I dress. Teacher doesn't like the way I talk. Teacher doesn't like where I come from. Teacher doesn't like me. Or at least that's how I felt. Right? And as I go into my situation, because remember, the principal asked, I get stopped. Hold up, the principal says. Reaches into a drawer and he pulls out this sheet of paper, opens it up, turns it to me and says, you know what? We got these dress codes here. And you know they're for your protection and you don't fit them. Dress codes. Now I ain't here to talk about against when it comes to dressing up. But for me, I feel like I look good. I feel proud about who I am and what I represent. And so when I get asked a question and the principal stops me, here goes another adult individual trying to silence my voice. And that pisses me off. Oh, sorry. Could I use that word? Yeah?
Yeah.
Too late, right?
It's out.
Excuse me, Mr. and Mrs. Principal. You want to take me down to your J.C. Penney's or to your Macy's and buy me some brand new clothes or what? I got to tell you, that wasn't a very smart thing to say to the principal. Because then the principal reached into another drawer, pulled out another sheet of paper, put my name on it, handed it to me and said, "You do got an attitude problem, son. Don't come back to school until you come back with your parent. Don't come back to school until you come back with your parent." Well, I ain't got no parent. So what am I supposed to do? So there I go, walking up to school, angry at this teacher who disrespected me, hurt by this principal who could not take the time to understand the child that was in front of him, trying to figure out how I get out the situation so they don't send me to another home, right? How do I deal with this stress? And guess who stops me? Mr. and Mrs. Police Officer. They get out the car. They put me up against the car. They go through my stuff. They turn me around. They look at me and they say, "Why aren't you in school, boy?" Well, when I go to school, I get kicked out of school for being in the school. And then when I leave the school, I get out for not being in school. So where am I supposed to be? And then people wonder why I'm so angry. People wonder why I'm so confused, why I'm so closed off. People wonder why I do the things I do. And if you think that this doesn't happen, people, it happened to me. So as I go through my presentation for the next, 45 minutes or so that I have, there's a question that you have to answer. It's a simple question, but it's a critical question. I want to know, what are you going to do for me? That's the challenge as you go through this conference for the next couple of days, man. You have to answer that question. What are you going to do for me? Are you going to help me? Are you going to provide me with something that could change my life? And how are you going to do it? How are you going to do something like change my life when there's all kinds of stuff coming at me that judges me, that puts me down, that makes me feel like I ain't worthy of your attention, your support, your encouragement? What are you going to do for me? Now that's a critical question, right? But it's a critical question that you have to answer. Because you're the one that decided to get up this morning. You're the one that decided to get on the Zoom. You're the one that decided to come into this room. You're the one that decided to hear this person talk. You're the one that decided to take on this job, this profession, and I know you didn't do it for the money. So that means you did it for another reason. And I have to believe that the reason why you did it is because you have a sincere desire to save a life. And that's what this whole thing is about, man. Learning how you can have an impact on a life. Because more than ever before, we need it. But wait. Maybe before we get into what you're going to do about or how you're going to help me, we need to find out how much your participants know about me, okay? So I'm going to ask you to respond, or you could ask them because you're better. They listen to you. They may not listen to me. When you think about me, the gang member, when you think about me, okay? What's the first thing that comes to your head? Now I'm going to write down your answers also because I want to remember them, right? Who stole my pen? I had a pen. Oh, it's right there.
So your question is, when someone thinks
About me.
of a gang member,
Yeah, gang
of
member.
you, what's the first word that
What's
comes up?
Yeah, what's the first thing that comes to their head?
First thing that comes up. Okay.
Now be honest. Don't give me no fluff answers, okay?
Okay, someone said lost.
Okay, lost. Go ahead. Keep on coming.
Hurt.
Hurt. Okay.
Dangerous.
Dangerous. I'm just going to put danger because it's easier to spell.
Misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
Someone said trouble.
Trouble.
Someone said hopeless.
Hopeless.
Someone said broken.
Broken. Okay, that's good enough. You guys are getting too happy with this. Broken. Alright. Now, I asked that question, right? Because I know that a lot of people have negative thoughts about me. A lot of people already jumping to a conclusion before they even have an opportunity to say hello sometimes. And I asked this question because those thoughts, whether you understand it or believe it, will influence how you provide direct service to someone like me. Those thoughts will direct you in the path that you take. And if you do not become aware of those thoughts, you might do more damage than good. And I understand this because for most of my life, that's all I have ever felt people thought of me. All I ever felt was someone thought that I was a no good for nothing lowlife, no good for nothing lowlife, no good for nothing lowlife. That's all I ever felt. Now, here's the kicker. There was a psychological test that was conducted back in the day. They took two groups of kids, right? One group over here, the other group over there. And this is what they did. The group over here were given tasks, and every time they did the task, they got that positive, oh, good job, good job, good job. The group over here, they were given the same kind of task, but they weren't told anything. Nothing at all. And this is what was found. That when you told that somebody over and over again, good job, they performed and outdid the group that got nothing at all. So what does that mean? Well, if you think I'm no good for nothing, no good for nothing, no good for nothing, if that's what I'm constantly getting over and over and over again, then I'm going to learn to be no good for nothing because that's what is expected of me. But that's not what I wanted. That's not how I wanted to be. I had dreams and aspirations just like every other kid. To be a fireman, to be a doctor, to be a counselor, to be successful. But a lot of times, instead of seeing that potential in me, I wasn't getting anything at all. And in my case, I was being reinforced with the negativity. So what happened? I joined the gangs at a very young age. And I joined the gangs because for me, it was a place where I could be Mr. Chocolate. I didn't think about the consequences, the violence, the tragedy, the prisons. I didn't think about any of that. I just needed to be. I started doing drugs. And you know, for me, the drugs, that was part of the propaganda. It's a part of my life, a part of my culture, a part of my way of being. And so I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But a lot of times, I would do these drugs because I couldn't stand how I was feeling. I couldn't stand what I was thinking. I couldn't stand what I was going through. So I would like numb myself. I would get drunk. I'd get loaded, man, so I could get out of my mind. And I closed myself off. I wouldn't let people close to me. I never thought anybody was down for me. I lacked trust. And I wasn't about to turn it over and give it to you so you could jack it up. I wasn't going to do that. And so I learned to be no good for nothing. No good for nothing. No good for nothing. My goals in life were about getting killed, because I thought that if I got killed, my homeboys had put these pictures on the wall in loving memory of Mr. Chocolate, and I'd be like immortalized. Or getting locked up. Because if you do time and you do it good, when you get out, you get stripes, you get respect, you get the kind of support that you're supposed to have. And those are not good consequences. But I thought they were. But wait, if I am no good for nothing, if I'm lost and hurt and dangerous, misunderstood, if these are all the things, and I know there's a whole lot of, we can go all the way around and talk about all kinds of things, but if these are all the things that I'm about, then I want to ask you a different question. Why then? Why do you think I joined the gang? Go ahead and ask them to give the answer, Ms. Martinez. That way they...
Okay. So everyone out there, please feel free to answer. Okay, someone said to belong.
To belong.
To have family.
Family, that's a good one.
Protection.
Oh, tech. Sean, T-I-O-N. Uh-huh.
Someone said nothing else to do.
So to do stuff, right? That's what they're saying?
Or maybe like boredom, like there's nothing else to do.
Something to do.
Something to do. Someone said acceptance.
Acceptance. How do you spell that?
Okay.
Accept.
See?
Trans. Okay, I got it.
Someone said to feel valued.
To value. Okay, what about this one? And I don't know if they got a way to give you thumbs up. I don't know how that works. Okay, but what about this one? Power. Are there any responses? No response? No thumbs up?
Someone's just more answers are coming.
Oh, more answers. Give me more.
Okay, respect.
R-E-S-P-C-T. Psych to me just a little bit. That's a good one.
Oh, control.
Control. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Those are all good answers. And again, just like the negative stuff, we can go around the room and create all kinds of reasons. You know? But I'm going to ask you to do something real quick, okay? I'm going to show you the list that you gave me. Don't make fun of my handwriting. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see it? Let me get closer. Now, if you look at that list, they're opposites. They're opposites. One is positive. One is negative. But here's the kicker. They're both me. They're both me. But for whatever reason, instead of seeing that I want to belong, that I want to have a family, that I want to be protected, that I want to do something, have acceptance, feel value, power, respect, control, a lot of people, they see only what they have been, told, or they heard on the news, or they experience, man, they stop at the outside. Instead of coming to all these basic human needs, because if I were to ask you, do you want to feel a sense of belonging? Do you want to feel like you have a family? Do you want to feel like you are protected, accepted, valued, respected? Aren't these some of the same basic human needs that you have? And if you have those same basic human needs and you're going after it in whatever fashion, even though I understand, man, my trajectory, man, was different than yours, we still have something in common. And I was going after the same basic human needs, just in a more negative and destructive and tragic way. Now, there's a cheat there, you know, and what I mean by a cheat is that there's a solution. Because a lot of times when I give this presentation, I try to let you figure it out on your own. We're in a time right now where sometimes a little bit of a cheating, it's a joke, helps. If ever you find yourself with a client that you are serving, if ever you find yourself feeling frustrated, tired, if ever you feel like, that person or persons is not accepting or not open to you, they close down. If ever you find yourself on the outside looking in, go basic. Go basic. Because those basic human needs will connect us. As they say, outlove them and outlast them. Because that's basically what I've been looking for in my life. Is for someone to connect to me. But instead, man, they got stopped in the perceptions. They got stopped on the outside. What they think I am all about. Not really knowing. And the thing about perceptions? They're powerful. They influence us. And who knows where they come from? They come from all over, right? Parents, family, church, schools, and I can go on and on and on. And these perceptions are little bits of information that influence how we think of things or how we see things. They come out. They come out in their own way, man. Matter of fact, Time magazine did an article back in 1989. They did an article that dealt specifically with perception. Now, I'm going to warn you, okay? Some of this stuff is pretty bad. Some of it might provoke you, might piss you off, might make you feel like, what? I'm not sharing this to turn you out. But at the same time, as I struggle with whether or not I want to introduce this information, I have to go beyond me and look at the responsibility of being aware. They put out 135 surveys. The book, right? Time magazine. You guys know about that, right? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. All right, good. They put these inserts in there, and then they sent out their books, right? To their subscribers. And out of that 135,000 copies, 127,000 people responded. Now, I ain't good at math. And if you want to pull out your Siri or your, what's the name of that other person? Alexa, and ask them what's the percentage, go on ahead. I'm going to tell you this. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. A whole lot of people want to give their answers. And they were asking about particular groups. And they started first with Asians. That's the first group they talked about. So, I'm going to ask that you think about Asians and tell me, what do you think the survey said? I'm going to write down the answers. No, I'm not going to write down the answers. I'm just going to I'm going to give you the answers, okay? Go ahead.
Okay, so one participant said smart.
Smart, good answer.
High achievers.
High achievers. Good answer.
Thinnest.
Thinnest. Good answer.
Bad drivers.
Bad drivers. Good answer. I think.
Reserved.
Reserved.
Respectful.
Respectful.
Influencers.
Influencers. Okay, those are good answers. Now I'm going to tell you what the survey said. Okay? 1989, Time Magazine, okay? Survey says. I saw that from TV. Get it? Surveys? Never mind. Number one answer for Asians. Hardworking. That all Asians are hardworking. Number two answer. When you think about Asians, they're frugal. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first heard that word, I thought they were talking about little creatures that lived underneath the rock. You know, the frugal rock. But that's not what it means. It means cheap, thrifty. Last answer. Can't drive. Asians can't drive. So one of you got that right answer. Then they went from Asians to African Americans. But of course, in this day and time, we're not going to limit it to just those with African descent. We're going to open it up to all our black brothers and sisters out there. So when you think about black people, what do you think the survey said? Tell me.
Okay. Some answers are coming in. Criminal.
Criminal. Okay.
Lazy.
Lazy. Okay.
Uneducated.
Uneducated.
Good dancers.
Good dancers. They can jump too,
Violent.
Violent.
Good at sports.
Good at sports. Okay. Good. We're going to stop right there. Here are the answers. Time Magazine, 1989, okay? Number one answer. Violent. Number two answer. Athletic. They can play basketball. Number three answer. Talented. They could sing. They could dance. They got rhythm. Then they went from blacks to my favorite group, Hispanics. Are there any Hispanics out there? I can't see your hands. I'm sorry. I'm trapped. Pero como las cucarachas, they can't get rid of us, right? Never mind. You know when I first heard that word, Hispanic? Thought I was supposed to get scared. Hispanics. You see, I'm not Hispanic. I'm not Hispanic. I'm not her panic. I'm not your panic. Ain't nobody's panic. So don't panic. Yo soy Chicano, Mexicano, Cubano, Dominicano, Puerto Riqueño. I have a culture. But since we are still in a time where we got to put the check mark in the box, for me, this is just for me, okay? You have to decide for yourself what you want to be called. For me, I choose Latino. So I'm going to get rid of that word and change it because I'm in charge. Latino. So let's talk about the Latinos. And you better be nice.
Someone said very machistas.
Okay, macho.
Illegal.
Illegal.
Someone said proud.
Proud.
Lazy.
Lazy.
Good cooks.
Good cook. Good looking. Charming.
Family oriented.
Family oriented. Okay. Tall. I'm tall. I don't care what people think, man.
Tall.
I'm tall. I don't care. All right, here we go. Number one answer when you think about the Latinos. Lazy. Number 2 answer. Cante explique inglese. They're aliens. They're illegal. Last answer. Ignorant. That's what they think about Latinos. Then they move to the next group, and the last group, Caucasians. Do we have any Caucasians in the audience? Because now we're going to talk about you. What do you think the survey said?
Okay, answers are coming in. Powerful.
Powerful.
Entitled.
Entitled.
Smart.
Smart.
Successful.
Successful.
Educated.
Okay.
Wealthy.
Wealthy.
Dominant.
Okay.
Privileged.
Privilege. Okay, that's good. Those are all good answers. Here we go. Number 1 answer in America when you think about Caucasians. Educated. Number 2 answer. Attractive. Last answer when you think about Caucasians. Capitalistic. You know, the people in charge. El patron. The people that got money and power. Okay. Now, remember the sign of the times. This was done in 1989. And so people were a little bit more unreserved, I think. And remember that at that particular time, those were the only 4 groups that they wanted to talk about. But what saddens me is the main group that is left out. And I would be doing a disservice if I didn't recognize. And that main group is Native Americans. And what saddens me is the whole mentality about how we treat natives. And how there's still this myth or idea that there is no such thing as a good Indian. And it saddens me because it still continues to be perpetuated today as lands are being taken away and natives are being killed. You see, going around the country and talking about this stuff so you could become a little bit more enlightened, it's not about pointing the finger at you or making you feel like you're doing something wrong. We all have thoughts. What it's about is pointing how you have these thoughts and that you can do something to change it. You see, a lot of times when I'm walking into the rooms, the social worker or the counselor or whoever is getting me to change. And because I am so entrenched with my values, my culture, I resist. I don't see the benefit because I'm in the here and now. And so what happens is that all these perceptions and stuff start to come out about who I am because I'm not changing. And I'm here to say straight up, the greatest change that you have, the greatest power over it, is in yourself. That's what you have control over. That's what you can work on. So when these thoughts come to your head, identify it. By identifying it, you can prevent it from coming out. So when I resist, you don't automatically go to the outside. You remember what's inside. The love, the respect, the attention, the things that all us humans want. You see, this article was put out and a whole bunch of people responded. This is what scholars call a process of dehumanization. Now, what does that mean? Some of you already know, but I'm going to spell it out real simple, okay? It means that you can see, believe, or think somebody to be less than human. And if you have these thoughts, then it's okay. It's okay that they're dropping out of school. It's okay that they're getting incarcerated. It's okay that they're abusing drugs. It's okay that they're engaging in violence. It's okay. It's okay if our law enforcement officers put them down on the ground and kill them. It's okay if the prison systems are being overloaded by people like me. It's okay that we can have somebody out of their mind, insane, go to one of our favorite stores, our necessary stores, and shoot us up. Because somewhere down the line, somebody taught them that we're less than human. And it's not right, man. It's not right. It's wrong. And I know that I'm speaking to the choir, and I know you know this stuff, but you have the responsibility of working with someone like me after this tragedy, after these situations come. You're the one that has to be there to catch me when I'm falling, and I know it's not an easy job. I know it. But I need you. So I don't get caught up into the negativity and start to think that I am no good. I don't deserve to be treated like that. Even though I know I ain't perfect. I know that I do some things that, can be considered wrong. I know that. But I don't know anybody who's perfect. I don't know anybody who doesn't do something wrong. I shouldn't have to pay the consequences and be punished to the extreme that I am. So extreme that someone thinks it's okay to kill me. It needs to change, people. And we have to arm ourselves with the information so we could be the change. And then by setting that example, by being at that forefront, we can slowly but surely impact our communities in a beautiful, a powerful way. And I know change is not easy. I know it's not. We get caught up into this is how it is, this is how it is, this is how it is. To move away from that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength, man. But if that's what you need to see in order to understand my message, I ain't afraid to show you. I ain't afraid to take off my sunglasses and to look at you with my eyes. And I don't wear these because I was up drinking and drugging. Woke up with the cruda. I don't want you to see my bloodshot eyes. I'm clean and sober to the day, man. I'm coming up on 29 years. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't need drugs to have a good time. And guess what? For me to come to this place, it took someone like you to show me the way. And I'm not afraid to take off this trench coat. I ain't got nothing underneath. I'm not trying to conceal a weapon. It's just my style. That's how I dress. That's who I am. And I know for myself, because I have been challenged to change, I've had to learn to rely on the service provider's energy. And when you start to do the things like value my ability to learn, believe that I have the capability of learning. So when you're constantly giving me this information, slowly but surely, I start to internalize it. Then I can feel some worth. I can feel like I'm worth something. And someone like you did that. Someone like you made me feel like I'm worth millions of dollars. And I'm not afraid to show you if that's what it... Oh, hold up. Excuse me. Psych. Don't worry. I'm not butt naked. They don't pay me enough to get butt naked.
Oh my God.
And I started to change. And one of the hardest things that I had to learn to do was put on a tie. And it wasn't because I thought I was going to become something that I didn't want to, that I was going to lose a part of my heritage, that I was going to become watered down. Nah. It's because I didn't know how to tie a stupid tie. For reals. But you see, I had an opportunity to get this job, and this job meant going into schools and talking to them about overcoming obstacles, about learning to believe in their dreams, about becoming educated, becoming a doctor, a lawyer, a counselor, an engineer, a scientist, or whatever is in their hearts. So that meant I needed to put on the tie. So I remember spending 2 hours in front of the mirror trying to figure out how to tie this stupid thing. But when I looked at myself, I said, damn, I look good. And I got the job. You see, I am Richard Santana. I'm a graduate of California State University, Fresno. I got my BA degree, and I became something that I hated most. I became a teacher. I became a service provider. I became someone like you. And it's when all these positive affirmations started to come my way, and I slowly but surely started to change how I felt about myself, that I was able to achieve these things. But it first took someone to believe in the learning process. And when I started to believe in that learning process, when the expectations were set at a standard that I could meet, and I wasn't being talked down to, I wasn't being looked down to, I rose to that occasion. But that's not all that you need to do. You also have to be consistent in your service. Now, I know some of you might be looking at me right now thinking, oh yeah, I like the way he dresses better. Maybe that's your style, I don't know. Me, I wear it for the presentation, but I dress differently another time. We all have these different forms of fashion, right? According to what we are doing and what we need to do. But if how I am dressed, or how I look, or where I come from, or the color of my skin, if all those things prevent you from consistently providing the service that you have committed to provide, then work needs to be done. Because you can't treat me one way or give me one kind of service and not offer me something that you would offer to somebody else. You have to be consistent in that service. And by being consistent, I will learn to respect you, because trust me, when I'm walking into the door, when I'm sitting down on your sofa, when I'm in your office, I'm looking to see if you are truly going to be down for me. I'm looking to see if you're going to have some kind of favoritism on somebody else. I'm looking to see how you are acting. And by being consistent, I will see, I know you are down for me just like you're down for them. And I could trust you. I could trust you. And then finally, and most importantly, you have to be unconditional in your nurturing. You know, I've upset a lot of people coming up in college. I've upset and hurt people, angered them. And a lot of those people were the professors, the counselors, the service providers that were there to direct and guide me. If you hold a grudge, if you hold resentment, then you stop with the nurturing. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to get upset. I'm not saying that. Because sometimes our clients, they upset us. What I'm saying is, it's okay to get upset, but don't let that influence the service. You have to forgive me. You have to overcome those things that will prevent you from being consistent and believing that I could achieve. Believing in the learning process. Unconditional nurturing is so important. And as I said earlier in my presentation, you gotta outlove. You gotta outlast. Now, why do I believe in this? Do you remember that psychological survey that I talked about early, where they took one group of kids over here and one group of kids over there? The part that I need for you to hear, and I'm not sure how much more time we have. What time is it now?
We have about 30 minutes.
Oh, good. You got time. This is the part that I need for you to gravitate to. When they started to give the attention and the support to the group who did not receive it from the gate, they grew and often exceeded the original group that was receiving that attention. Do you know what that's called? It's called resilience. Straight up, simple example. And you have to believe that our children, our parents, our communities, they are very resilient. So if a tragedy that occurs in our community, like it did last year, that ain't gonna stop us. Because we're gonna be stronger. We're gonna raise. We're gonna rise up to something higher. We're gonna be more to demonstrate our resilience. And I say that to you because that's exactly what I had to do. You know, I got my degree, and I could have stopped right there. I could have got myself some nice things, right? Nice car, you know, the lowrider with the chewed out windows. I could have bought myself a nice house. You know, I could have got myself some good clothes. I could have stopped right there. But you see, I understand that there are still children and people like me that are being denigrated and disrespected and murdered and killed and scapegoated and whatever, right? I understand that that's still occurring, and it's because of that I have to continue to break down those walls of perceptions, those barriers that prevent us from seeing the potential. I have to rise, be stronger. And it's because of that that I was able to attend and to graduate from Harvard University. Now I say that to you, and I know you guys are back there in your computer saying, yeah! Or at least I hope you are, right? But I say that to you because I was not supposed to be a Harvard graduate. I was not supposed to be here today sharing my story. I was not supposed to be able to, experience this life that, I'm experiencing today. I was supposed to be dead. I was supposed to be locked up. Or at least those were some of the perceptions that I believe true. And like I said, man, if you say it over and over again, I learned to believe it. Doesn't matter it's right, doesn't matter it's wrong. That's what I was going to happen. But because someone like you stepped in, because someone like you believed in the learning process and helped me to achieve, because someone like you consistently gave and gave and gave and gave, because someone like you was nurturing me unconditionally, I managed to graduate from one of the most respected universities of this country, one of the most respected in the world, even when I was not supposed to. And I say this to you as I start to close my presentation so we can open it up for questions and answering, right? Is that what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
I say this to you so you can understand how important you are. So as you're going through the conference and as you are gathering your information, you can remember your task, your challenge. And that is, are you going to help me? Are you going to provide me with something that could change my life? I believe you can. I believe that you can be stronger, that you can rise up, that you can demonstrate our true capabilities. So I beg you, Now, just in case some of you are wondering if it will make a difference, which I get all the time, I want to leave you with a story. It's a story about a man on the beach. And this man was walking up and down the beach, and he was picking up these sand dollars. And as you noticed him in the distance, you were wondering, why is he doing that? So you went to go find out. And when you got closer, you saw he had a whole bunch of them, and he was just picking them up and gathering them. And you looked to the guy, and you said, "Hey, dude, what you doing?" And he turns to you, and he says, "Oh, you know what? I'm gathering these sand dollars so I could throw them back into the ocean, and I could save their lives." And you looked that way, and there were all kinds of sand dollars. And you looked that way, and there were all kinds of sand dollars. And you turned to the guy, and you said, "Man, there's a lot. There's too many. It's not going to make a difference." And he turns to you with the sand dollar in his hand. And maybe not, but it means the world to this one. I beg you, please, help me. Help me to save a life. On behalf of Homeboy Goes to Harvard Productions, I want to thank Ms. Martinez, the crew, and all those who are out there in the Zoom universe for being here and providing the service. Please keep doing what you're doing. It does make a difference. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my message. Good luck. God bless. Thank you very much.
I do have a question. A lot of people are saying thank you. You mentioned in your presentation that it was a service provider that helped you. Who was that person?
Well, that's a good question. The person who helped me was a teacher. It was an English teacher. And those three principles that I talked about, believing in the learning process, being consistent, and unconditionally nurturing, she practiced those principles on me. But of course, because I came from a situation where knowledge is not powerful, except knowledge of the streets, right? She had to use what I knew, my reference, my frame of reference, and build on that. And I used to like to sing, because I believe no matter what any of my children say, that I have a beautiful voice. And so I'd walk into her class singing, and she said, "Oh, I like the way that sounds." And I said, "Yeah, those are called oldie but goodies. You know, James Brown, Little Anthony, Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye, And she said, "Oh, I like the way that sounds. I like your music. Do you think you could come to my house and bring your music so I can record on my stereo system and that I can listen to your music? I can enjoy the music that you listen to?" And I got to tell you, man, that felt pretty good. I was like, "Oh my teacher wants me to come over. She wants to hear my music." Yeah. And I was excited at first, but then I realized how many people have disappointed me. How many times I've been kind of like left out in the cold. And I thought that maybe this person was doing the same thing. And so naturally my response to her was, "No, thank you. I'm not interested." Then she had to be consistent, that she had to learn to get around, what my walls were. And she asked me another question. She asked, "Well, what about if I invite one of your friends to come along? Would you come in?" And I remember thinking, wow, hey, all right. There's safety in numbers where I come from.
Right.
And so I said, yeah. So naturally, I picked the hardest, the meanest, the toughest homeboy that I could think of, because I knew that if she asked him, he was going to say no. I knew it. I mean, I had no doubt. And she went and asked. Damn, he said yes. He said yes. Now, I didn't have a lot of money back then. I didn't have all the materialistic stuff. And I didn't have all that stuff. But I did have my word. So if I give you my word, I'm not going to be compromising it, throwing that away, letting somebody step on that. And if I respect you and I give you my word, there was nothing that was going to prevent me. So there I went, walking down the street with my stack of 45s. I don't know if you know what that is. 45s?
No.
45s are little itty bitty records that we used to listen to back in the day, okay? Going to my teacher's house, going to listen to oldie but goodies. And that's where the learning process started, because as we were listening to this music, we talked about the words. Then we talked about the meaning behind the words. And then I started to see, oh man, I did know something. I did know something. And it was that teacher that instilled in me that no matter where I come from, no matter the background I have, I still have the ability and the knowledge and the frame of reference to build on. And that's what I did.
Wow. Comments are coming in. Just great presentation. It was powerful. Someone said, "Can you sing us an oldie?"
Good one. I shaved it for the shower, Tyler.
Okay, so a question did come in. How did you get away from the gang?
That's a good question, and that's probably one of the number one questions that I get. How did you get out? And I have to acknowledge that the process for getting out of the gangs has changed from when I was growing up. Okay, and in that acknowledgement, some of the practices I don't believe in, and I would never let that happen to me, right? But because it's believed, those practices are being done. For me, I was considered one of the leaders of the gang. And it wasn't because I was the baddest, even though I thought I was, or the toughest, even though, again, I thought I was. It was because I had the ability to critically think things out, reflective thinking, as we refer to it. And because I had that ability, a lot of times I would get my homeboys out of jams. And so they learned to respect me for that. So if something was going to come down, they would come and ask me, "Hey, Chocolate, what do we do?" And then I would tell them, "Okay, do A, B, and C." And then it'd be, many times it worked out. So I had a following of homeboys, And it's interesting because as I continue to develop, my homeboys respected me no matter what. So the whole thing about, you start to get educated or you start to make a change in your life, they abandon you. When I got admitted to college, you know what my homeboy said? They put my arm around me and they said, "All right, Chocolate, we're going to college," And they went with me. And it's funny how that was because, having that kind of support, was fulfilling. It was fulfilling. Now, it didn't mean that the madness of the streets stopped.
Right.
Okay? So I don't want to give that illusion. It just meant that with their support, I was slowly and surely able to achieve a level of success. And in that success, I became a role model for them and then later their children. And because of that, that example, the whole idea of leaving was never there. Mm-hmm. You see, I'm still Mr. Chocolate and I still am a part of that gang. Mm-hmm. But the difference is I no longer engage in destructive and criminal behavior. But that's an iffy thing because I still kind of like speed a little bit and stuff like that, right? But you know what I mean,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And because I don't engage in that, I do the positive stuff. My behavior is about being positive, and my homeboys, they look up to me and they still see me as the one thing that I couldn't do though, and I don't do even today, is denigrate them and talk them or belittle them, and they're because I'm Mr. Chocolate, First and foremost, I could not have done this presentation without Mr. Chocolate. You can take the homeboy out of the barrio, but you can't take the out of the homeboy. I will always be Mr. Chocolate. So I never got out. I just stopped doing the destructive behaviors.
A question came in that said, many Latinos come from low-income households. How did you pay for your education?
That's a good question. Fortunately, because it's fortunate. Here's another one of those ironics, right? Because I was a welfare baby, and that's pretty poor, right? Because getting clothes from the Red Cross, shopping at the segundas, that kind of stuff, man. It was real, and I still feel like sometimes you get the best buys, by doing that. But ultimately, it allowed me to qualify for certain things. Number one, scholarships. Now, again, it's ironic because I got the scholarship for being the most troubled youth in my school. I don't know if I should be proud to receive money, but it gave me money, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're a kid and someone slaps a $500 check in your hand, it's like, all right, I got money. I qualified for financial aid, the FAFSA stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So they paid for a lot of it. And included in that financial aid was the ability to get a job. It's called work studies. And my job, and I think, and I need to acknowledge the man that helped me to achieve that, Mr. Walter Robinson, God bless his soul. He helped me get in because he was the only one willing to interview me. He was the only one, I'll interview that homeboy. And it got me in, to the university through the Educational Opportunity Program, EOP. And then, of course, and this is the tragic part, okay? I cashed in my Indian money, my Native American grant. I regret doing that now because I understand that by doing that I forfeit all rights as a Native person, indigenous to this state, California, but I needed the money to pay for college. And so that's how I financed it. Scholarships, grants, and work.
Someone asked, how old were you when you changed or when the turnaround happened?
That's a good question. It wasn't just one instance, okay? And I truly believe that change is like recovery. You go through it in time. And you just keep on adding and adding and adding, and every once in a while you go back, and then you got to keep on adding and adding and adding again, right? And that's how it was for me. The first change, which was believing in the educational process, was when I was a ninth grader in high school. And at that time, I was pretty caught up. I was pretty sure that I was not going to be living too much longer. I wasn't going to be alive. I was pretty sure. And that was through my ninth grade teacher. She's the one that really started the process. The second time was when I was a freshman in college. And that was the one that helped me to not quit. Don't quit. And that was because of one of my homeboys, a little night owl. Do I have time to tell the story?
We have about less than 10 minutes.
Oh.
About 8 minutes.
Well, if you want to know, for you students out there, I'm going to be kicking here. We're going to talk a little bit more. If you want to know about Little Night Owl, I'll tell you more. But basically, he inspired. Now, I'm going to tell you a story now because it's a good story and I need to acknowledge him. I was in my second semester at Fresno State in college, and I didn't know how to read. I didn't know how to write, so I was definitely not a good student. So I had to really dedicate time and time and time and time again to learning. And we were in the middle of midterms, and my phone rang. And back in the days, we had the old-fashioned phones, not the cell phones, right? So I pick up the phone, and it's my homeboy Night Owl, and he's asking me, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm studying, man. I'm trying to write a paper." And then, of course, all the derogatory terms that come out, came at me. Schoolboy, bookworm, teacher's pet, try to change, all that stuff, right? All that stuff was coming out because he wanted me to go out and party with him. He wanted me to go cruising at the park. He wanted me to go have a good time with him. And he kept on telling me, "Come on, man, let's go cruising, let's go party." And I kept on saying, nah, man, I gotta study. Nah, man, I gotta study. And so the derogatory came out. And he kept on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until finally I said, all right, the hell with it, let's go. Come get me. And right there, man, I could hear him laughing, really loud, laughing. You're weak, Mr. Chocolate, you're weak. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he just said to me, I was just checking to see if you were gonna come. That's all. I wanted to know that you were still down with me. But nah, you gotta stay and do that paper, man. You gotta stay and finish. Because if you finish, we all finish. And those are the last words I ever heard from him, because he died that night. That's a powerful thing I talk about, and it always brings up stuff with me, because I have the regrets. Like, okay, what if I was there? That kind of stuff. But it was enough of an impact to get me to believe that I had to finish. I had to finish. And I did. And then the last, well, there's more, but I need to talk about one that I am definitely going to talk about the students, and that was kicking the drugs. I had to, and that's where Walter Robinson also came in. I had to kick drugs, man. I had to kick the drugs because the drugs was killing me. Didn't matter how good or how much positive work I was doing, as long as I was drinking and using, I was throwing it out the window. And when I stopped doing drugs, that's when my life really started to bloom. And I met the woman of my life, and she came running after me, so I married her, and have beautiful children, and I have a pretty good life, man. And I still sometimes wake up and I sit here, and I have a business too. I sell coffee, by the way, so I still have those skills of selling. It's just coffee now, right? So I still sit here and I'm amazed of all the beautiful gifts I've been given.
Wow. We have less than 5 minutes left. I do want to share just some of the comments that are coming in.
Okay.
You are doing amazing work and sharing your story and sharing what you've learned. Someone said, love the presentation. Thank you. I did want to read one message. So powerful and inspirational, reminds us that even though we must be professional with those we serve, we are reminded at the end of the day that we are all human and we all deserve that respect, support, and kindness. So that message did come through. So after this session, you're going to do a Q&A.
That's right.
In a different Zoom chat room.
I believe we're staying here.
Okay, we're going to stay in this Zoom.
Yeah, and then the high school students or the middle school students or whatever students that are out there are staying.
Okay.
And then I'll answer more specific questions for them.
Yes,
related to their experience.
Okay, so for those of you that are students, just make sure you stay here and keep your questions coming, because then we'll get to those. Definitely. Okay, so we have a few more minutes.
Can we just stop?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
We'll take a break.
I'm going to get some water and relax for a minute.
Yeah.
Enjoy the conference. And you could steal whatever information from my presentation that you want. I don't mind. Thank you. Good luck. God bless.